You ready? You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, theys, and gays. This is the Real Pineapple. This is your humble host, Hunter, here. Hope you're having a good night, week, day, whenever you're checking this out. I'm really excited to have a writer, director of the latest film, I Really Love My Husband. Given the subject matter, we will have to get into that. Gigi Hawkins. Gigi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Waking up.
Yeah.
So I actually watched your movie last night,
Uh-huh.
um, at midnight. So I had an espresso shot, watched your movie, then watched two more movies, then passed out around 8 a.m., slept for an hour, and
Oh
now
my
I'm
God.
awake now. So I'm running
It
on.
is 12, so you just got into the afternoon, but you've been awake. That is no sleep. Do you not need sleep?
Um, when I get like when I get like into a creative rhythm, it's hard for me to sleep. And
Yeah.
I'm West Coast too, so so I literally slept for about 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours.
You power
Um,
napped.
exactly. I power nap. But your movie. So by the time this I release this interview, the it'll be out on VOD so people can watch it. Um, I want to start with kind of a softball. Where did the idea for this actually come from? Like the actual concept for this?
Th for the actual film, which is about this couple that goes on their delayed honeymoon, and the woman is gets the ick because her husband's this like golden boy people pleaser, and instead of doing anything about it, she's like, "What if we seduce the rental host?" It all the threesome element came from well, I took a micro budget producing course at the Gotham, and it was like, what do you have access to that's like unique? And I had access to this location in Panama because my stepdad built that house, and I went there a ton growing up, and it was like a source of income for my family, and they were trying to sell it. So I was like, we have to shoot there before they sell it.
Yeah.
And we have like a ton of friends and community down there. And I also had this group of people that I had made a bunch of like shorts and sketches with. So Madison Lannacy, who plays Teresa, Ryan Thomas, who is the DP, Christina O'Sullivan, who's the editor. And I was like, if I get these guys on board, also Scott Monahan, who has story by credit and was originally going to play Drew. If I get these guys on board, I'll make it happen. And they all said yes without even a script. And I knew
Amazing.
that there was like going to be a honeymoon element because I knew we were setting it in Bocas del Toro, Panama, and I had a feeling that there would be a threesome angle because I'm like, that's something you can execute. And then of course I went into a lot of like my own uh, past relationships. I developed it with Scott and Madison. We mined our past relationships, and this is what we got.
So, okay, I'm happy you brought up past relationships because one of those lines that I think directors and just creatives in general always kind of struggle with is like, how much of myself do I want to put into my art, into my story? Like, is this too personal to share? Is this not enough? Like, kind of like like a constant moving target. There's some of the dialogue in here that I was like, I feel like she's heard this, or his like, or people have like. There's a point where and I don't want to give too much away, but Madison, is it Lancy? Is that how I say it?
Yeah, yeah.
Who plays Teresa? I have to give you so much credit for how you wrote her because she's there's a point where a character straight up asks her like if she hates herself, and it's done in such a blunt way that I was like, wow, okay. But when she's asked it, I went, yeah, I've been taking notes on this all film, and that's the conclusion I keep coming to is like I think she just hates herself. And like and it was one of those
Totally.
things where I loved how angry at points she is for Drew because I will say and I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but it's me. I don't care.
Okay, so
I do hate kind of the church nice in the sense of like it doesn't
yes,
feel genuine. It feels like it's performative, and there
yes.
are points with Drew where I'm like, oh, I don't know how genuine this is. But as the film goes on, I am just kind of sitting there going like maybe he is just like a good person and Teresa's kind of worn his ass down, but they haven't even been together that long. So like the fact that the honeymoon period is already at this point, like how did you kind of attack how did you kind of get into the mindset to attack the complexities of that? Because there are points, as much as I hate Teresa, and my God in heaven, there are multiple points where I'm like, he should shoot her out of a cannon. But there are these blips where I'm like, I kind of get where she's coming from. So how did you kind of approach finding a way to balance both their views of each other?
It's I love the church nice. And it's funny, the if you watch the movie back, I think you'll find that you actually like Teresa a lot more because it's a movie that like upon second viewing you get even more out of it. The reality of who Drew is he is the person who is saying, "How's your day going?" before Teresa even has a chance to engage with a person.
That's
He's
very true.
so eager to please that he is actually taking away from his relationship by trying to be good in the eyes of the world. And I believe that all of these characters are operating and trying their very best. Like they are at least they're trying to be good. They're trying to iterate. Like but with it is ultimately a story about like if you don't love yourself, you can never love anyone else. And
So
Teresa
true.
has not done the work to, even though she says she's done the work to be a complicated person, she actually doesn't love herself yet. And you, even if Drew is perfect on paper, like she has been going through the motions of what is expected of her as a millennial woman. She's at that age where everyone's settling down and getting married, and everyone's like, Drew is great. Oh my gosh, you're so lucky. And she's like, I guess I should go with him. And that's the
Yeah.
journey and that's what happens beforehand to get us to this point. And I did like go back and forth on like, is this their honeymoon? Because honeymoon feels too soon. So that's why I made it their delayed honeymoon. They're 1 year into the marriage. We have this sort of like year in the marriage where we're seeing already the faults. But I do believe that Teresa is somebody who is trying the best with what she has been given to be a good partner, but she just doesn't know how to do that yet. And that's the journey that we take our characters on, you know?
I think so there's a scene on an airplane that kind of
Mhm.
kickstarts everything. And I won't lie, in that moment I went, oh, I get, okay, yeah, dude, you shouldn't have done that. And it was just like, oh no. And so that was really for me the big moment where I was like, okay, I can see how this would just kind of grind you, like that level of just like nothing ever bothering you. Like humans can't, again, that's why I go to the church nice example. It's like
Yes.
you can't live like that because that will just drive you nuts after a while. Um, I love the people you got to play everyone. So I want to start with Madison first.
Yes.
She has this way of monologuing that is so uncomfortable that like there's this point on the beach where she's talking where something occurs and I'll get the paths in a second, but there's something that happens and she's like, oh well, you know, like if there are three musketeers and like one musketeer, and I'm sitting here watching this, I'm like, I want to just I need this to stop, and it takes so and it takes so much to make me uncomfortable. And I was just sitting here and my partner came in, she's like, what are you watching? And she kind of watched the scene with me and she was like, oh, I get why this is making you uncomfortable. I'm like, yeah, this is like my nightmare, but in the best way. Was that movie, was that oh, when did that come out? The 60s, I want to say. Was that movie The Heartbreak Kid? Was that any inspiration? Because I got very strong like that vibes from it because there is a point where I'm watching this, I'm like, I don't think this can go any other way but where it kind of needs to
where it
go, given
ends.
who these characters are.
Yeah.
Was there any
You
kind
know,
of point of deviating from that, or did
I've
you kind of
never
have that conclusion?
I've never seen Heartbreak Kid, but it's come up twice now. I feel like I am my film education is limited because I came to it late. But I want to watch it and I'm so glad it exists. I actually think Madison is a brilliant monologist, and I knew that like because she comes from like a UCB improv background. She also was on Herald Night, like, and she's somebody that can in improv and in real life, like keep your attention talking about anything. Like what one time we were doing a sketch and she was like improvising about like these bandanas that are for a nonprofit and she was just talking and talking and talking and it was so funny to me. And so I knew I wanted that to be one of Teresa's defense mechanisms is that she has the gift of gab and
Okay.
and I knew it was something that Madison could do really, really well. And part of the development process was so some of these monologues I wrote, and some of them I wrote versions of it, and then I would sit down with Madison and Scott, and I would say, okay, let's do the scene. Okay, now let's forget the scene. Now I'm just going to record the scene, and now you guys just improvise this scene. And that's where the gems of like Madison had improvised in a rehearsal this whole thing. It's like we're the Three Musketeers. If one of the Musketeers had been kicked out of the group and invited back for some sort of
Oh,
weird
that's
reunion
amazing.
tour, which I'm like, that is so specific and
Yeah,
so bananas and so funny to me that I would just write towards those specificities and sometimes just take word for word exactly what she improvised because I think that the more specific the funnier it is. And the
agreed.
way people talk, I mean, you hear me just like blabbering on and like, using all these qualifiers and hesitating and stutter stepping my way through. But like, that is also so funny and so human to me. There's another monologue in the movie. Oh, one last thing about the Three Musketeers. The idea that it's like there are the Three Musketeers, and then one of them is kicked out of the group, and then they're doing a reunion tour.
Yeah,
Like
it's absurd. Yeah.
it's so fun. Like you can't. It's just it's Madison's brilliant brain coming up with that. But I remember sometimes these things just like I move about the world or I'm scrolling through Instagram or I'm like on Pinterest. These things just come to me and I'm like, oh my God, that's true to the movie. So for example, the monologue where Teresa is trying to explain to Paz how she finds balance every day
Oh my God.
actually like sort of I wrote into it, but it ends with almost a word for word description, like a word for word reenactment of Gwyneth Paltrow talking about how yoga changed her life in the 90s. And like the things that she says, I feel like we should insert the audio here, but like
Oh
the things
God.
that she says are like, and that sort of, taught me that I could do life, and that's how I found balance, or like saying non-words. I don't remember the exact monologue, but I took the cadence and the words and then I changed it. In Teresa's case, it's about making coffee at home and how that's her taking back Mondays and blah blah blah.
That term made my skin crawl, by the way. Like when I heard that, my hand actually twitched. I was like, oh my God.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, no, you're writing on like so like because you did write this. This is you, but Madison and Scott like helped on the story,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we developed it. So they have story by
Okay.
credit, and then,
Okay.
I was the one writing iterations, writing beat sheets, and taking it and working it into scenes. I'm so glad that you should be one of my barometers because I always say I'm like I want there's like three people that the movie matters for. It's like I have to like it. My friend Charlotte Laffler, who's just like an urban planner who has great taste, has to like it. And then it has to make my dad cringe. And now
Oh,
I'm like,
nice.
and Hunter, because if it's making you feel uncomfortable, like that's good. That's by design. I like to kind of like sneak up on the audience and like go to those places.
So I will say for myself, as someone who's been in open relationships before, I I found it very interesting the way you attack the actual concept of the threesome because Teresa at first, it's very much an ego driven, like, I want to have this experience. It's me, me, me.
Yeah.
And there's this point where I'm sitting there watching it and Paz, who's played by is it Arda?
Arteji. Arteji. Yeah.
Artigi. They did a fantastic fucking job.
No.
Um, and I think honestly, between the three roles, that's probably the most important one in terms of casting because they are like that wedge that ends up being so important in both their lives. So, what was the casting like? What was the casting process like for Paz? And then in terms of writing them and kind of where they end up without spoiling too much, how did you kind of go about doing that with that character?
Yeah. Interestingly, Paz is somebody who was kind of inspired by my stepdad who lived on that island and was kind of like, a fuck boy. And I, until he met my mom and he settled down. But
Okay.
I feel like I knew that this character needed to be somebody that had like chemistry with everyone, and that was kind of their superpower. But then I wanted to kind of subvert that trope. Like, I didn't want them to be like this manic pixie dream person. And there's this like sort of twist and darkness that you learn later on. And then the last scene with Paz is actually the most like honest moment of Paz calling a spade a spade.
A thousand
And
percent.
yeah, and I'm like, this is like you kind of don't really get that with like the manic pixie dream girls of our past. They kind of just like flit around and then, operate to the protagonist. So I wanted to subvert that. And I also like the character, shout out to Arta who infused life into the character. Like the lines that are written for Paz are bananas. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that is balance. Here, take this rock. Gotta have your rock.
Oh my God, the
Like
whole rock sequence. There's a point with I can talk about this where there's a trade for a rock for a hat. And my brain, I was like, what is happening? But I mean that as a compliment. I was like, what the hell? Like, if you took my hat, I'd be fucking mad.
I
Like, what are
know
you
everyone
doing?
always laughs in the theater at that. I I think with the when it came to casting though, like, this is why actors are truly 90%, like casting the right actors is 90% of my job as a director, is to find somebody who embodies a character and brings them to life. And once we ended up working with Alabama Blonde, who as a casting director goes by Emma Fleming, and she also did costumes for us. Because we were having trouble finding somebody who, and we did open casting, like it was all genders. We were having trouble finding somebody who embodied like this person who could connect with everyone. And Alabama was like, I think there's this model who my friend works with who like everyone falls in love with them after they meet them.
Okay.
And so that was kind of like the first little seed that I heard about Arta, and Arta wanted to get into acting. So this was actually her first time on a
Oh
film set.
shit.
Like,
What?
I know, right? I know. And
Damn.
I think
Okay.
and I have to credit also Madison and Travis Quentin Young, who plays Drew, how they also did such a great job, like onboarding Arta to, how to be thinking about continuity and they all those actors like would spend time every night rehearsing their lines, and the preparation was just next level. And I think when you're, especially for a micro budget film, you can be really diligent about who you cast and then leaning into who they are. So when I cast Arta, Arta's always like, "Oh fuck," and I'm like that's funny. And so now Paz says, "Oh fuck," all the time, and like leaning into the voice of the people that you cast, similar to like Madison in the Three
Okay.
Musketeers moment, or Travis when we cast him, it was like let's He plays guitar. He was literally on Star Search as a kid. Like,
Oh,
let's give
oh shit.
Drew a
Okay.
guitar. Exactly. So yeah, that's kind of how I approached it. And then just Arta was undeniable in person when we did our chemistry read. There was this playfulness that I knew we needed. I couldn't articulate it though until I saw it. And then I was like, this is amazing. And everybody connected with them. And they're just a light. I love them. Art is so
Yeah,
funny.
I thought they did an absolutely fantastic job. What is the biggest change in the story that you made from like your first draft to your final draft? And do you remember how many drafts
Oh,
you actually wrote of this?
oh God. I think I probably wrote like 8 to 10 iterations,
God
not
damn.
full
Okay.
scripts.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But constantly workshopping. And I actually made a YouTube video about the writing process, and it includes like a audio from a table read that I did at like a couple, maybe a month and a half out. And I was like, oh my God, this is not the movie I want to make. I kind of freaked out, but I had no time to think about it. I just had to keep going forward. And that was one that was like, I think the tone was the biggest change that I made because I made something that I was like, it felt very broad. It felt very like I think I was like trying to make it Palm Springs, but like when you don't have a budget,
Mm,
like you can't do that kind of like broad comedy. Like at one point they were like at a sloth retreat, like trying to like rehab center, like trying to seduce Paz. And I'm like, this is like silly. It's not human. And so
okay.
that was like a good, big swing in the wrong direction that then brought me back to finally the tone of what was really interesting to me, which was like pretty much, trying to keep it in a grounded world, and human world. But of course, following what I think is funny. Like, I think it's really funny when grown men talk about their nanas. So I forced Travis or Drew to talk about his nana all the time. Shout out to my nana. She rocks.
Yeah, the whole lamp thing, like that. So, okay, we can talk about this. There's a point where Drew talks about how they met, and honestly, the way they met, I just went that's odd to me. Like I won't like,
Yes, yeah.
and I felt judgy, but I was like, but I was sitting there, I'm like, no, that's a weird way to kind of, and there's this romanticizing of the relationship that as soon as he started, like I noticed was a pattern. I went, oh no, okay. And then that's when I kind of saw like why Teresa was kind of feeling the way that they were. Um, Couple more questions for you. I thought the way you shot this was beautiful. I thought everything just really popped. I thought the island and everything just looked like gorgeous, and I could really feel a sense of community, like just even like with like the extras and everything there. I really like the way you kind of built that world. Is without again not spoiling too much. I feel like this is a world you could revisit if you wanted to, given where
Mm.
things kind of end up. Was that an intentional thing,
Oh.
decision on your part, or?
It's so funny. We joke about doing two sequels. One is called Kiki's Lament, and because everyone wants more Kiki. And then the
Fair.
other is something called, this is a joke. We're not doing this. It's called The Bocas Express, and it's just like an action movie all on boats. But
Oh, see, I'd watch that. I know.
yes, okay, maybe I will make it for you. Um, I love I loved shooting in Panama. I love Bocas. I love the culture. I went backpacking after college by myself in Central and South America. I want to make a show that takes place in Bocas in a hostel that's sort of like, you know, industry in that it's like sexy, soapy, but watching these like Westerners come to Bocas trying to, kind of live out their like hostile Burning Man dream, but like
Okay.
actually they implode completely. And I I'm actually starting to outline that, and it's secretly a climate change story because, over the years I've seen literally the ocean rise and eat away at the beach and eat away at the places that we used to go and eat. And it's a small set of islands that like is doomed essentially. So there's like, a dark irony there for the story that I want to tell is like these people are trying to do these things and there's this history of foreigners coming to Bocas and fa things falling apart for them because they come for the wrong reasons, which is a
Mm,
theme in my work, which
okay.
is people doing things for the wrong reasons, for ego, for self-preservation, and not really doing it from a place of good.
Well, that's so weird because I heard that climate change has been solved. That's
Oh,
so
oh
that's so
shit.
that
Oh,
that's
then
so,
my story is
so
cut it
yeah,
all.
yep, gotta rewrite, gotta agree.
Yeah. Was it the president of the United States who solved it?
That's correct. Yeah, that's what I've been told. Yeah, I don't know, but I feel safer, but
Yeah, I feel so safe right now.
yeah, everything's fine, nothing's on fire.
Yes.
Um, last question, probably. In terms of you, because this is your first feature. I thought you did an incredible job with this.
Thank you.
Um, in terms of kind of what you want to do next, outside of what you just outlined, are there certain genres you want to go to? Are there like what do you kind of want to do next moving forward?
I feel like I have two projects in me. One that's like done through the traditional, getting talent attached and raising money. And I have a script that's I call it like an erotic-ish thriller, and it's about like the highest stakes of female friendship. These two women who are best friends and co-founders of a company, and it's set all in a villa in Spain, as I like to go to beautiful places, which helps with,
Fair. Yeah.
making every shot beautiful. And then I also think I have another micro budget in me. I want to develop something with Madison. I have an idea. I have a couple of people that I want to work with. But the one difference is we'll have one role for Dylan O'Brien. So that way we'll get more people to watch the movie because when you have a movie that doesn't have like, in the eyes of the industry, stars are named talent, and I'm saying that because I feel so confident that all the actors in my movie will become stars.
I
Uh,
agree.
and yeah, they're so good, and I'm not named talent, so it's been hard to get the word out. Um, but I think it's going to be like a slow burn where it sticks with people and and I feel confident about that. But I want the next thing I make, which we put so much heart and development into and put our full selves into, like we did with this one, to have one crack of the door open so it can get a little more traction early on.
Okay. And then I'm gonna be that person because I have to ask. So in terms of like the podcast, I always like to highlight indie film, especially by people of color, female writers, directors, because I think there's way too much indie film that just goes under the radar that people aren't aware of. And it's like I wish people would just seek out shit more because there's so much stuff that people are just missing out on. If you're telling someone who's like, hey, I want to do a feature like you, but maybe I'm just kind of having a hard time kind of getting my foot in the door or I'm hitting a wall, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give someone who kind of wants to be in the spot that you're at?
I think you have to greenlight yourself and create your own opportunity. Figure out what you already have and write a story for that so you can actually make something. I think I mean, I saw the most depressing chart yesterday where, look analyzing the amount of directors in top 100 grossing films that are women in the last 8 years since the Me Too movement. And
Yeah,
you saw
it's
that? You saw
I did
that?
see that and I'm just like,
There,
fuck, yeah.
the reality is like this year, only three studio films have been directed by women.
Yeah,
Three. And
yeah,
so we have to keep fighting as groups that have been continuously shut out and told that our stories are not good enough. And I think creating is an act of defiance, and
a
we have
thousand
to
percent.
just fucking do it. And yeah, if anyone is like stuck or needs permission from somebody, this is me giving you permission. And I had to have people give me permission. Actually, it was a micro budget filmmaker named Henry Lovner who made two micro budgets. And he was like, you should just, we were doing just like a Zoom phone call. And he was like, you should just make one. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And that was like the permission I didn't even know I needed.
Yeah, sometimes you just need that kick in the ass from someone to just say like you can do this. And
Yes,
yeah,
totally.
I could not agree more. Okay, I lied. I have one more question for you.
Yes, do it.
What if so let's say someone gives you because I'll be real, this gave me like neon vibe, like neon studio vibes. I'm like, this is something like I would be like, oh yeah, this is like a neon production. Like, give me
Hell
this.
yeah.
If someone gave you a blank check tomorrow, it's like make whatever the fuck you want, any genre, whatever. What is your dream project?
Oh, okay. Can I give two answers?
Absolutely.
Okay. I want to make a movie that, and I don't think I have the skills to do it yet, but something that like impacts kids and girls as much as Hook impacted me.
Oh, let's go. I love that answer. Okay.
I don't know what it is, but some like that
Okay.
sort of imagination world, and that earnest world. So yeah, something like that.
Okay.
And then in terms of like the immediate, like I actually would just love to make the movie that I described about like the highest stakes of female friendship in bed with me. I think as you know, it's so easy, I'm sure. I mean, not that I have this problem, but to be seduced by like, okay, now make this like big multi-million dollar, $30 million studio film. But I actually think it's smarter to grow a little slower as a director. So
Agreed.
I would love to make this movie, which has been quoted anywhere between 1 and 5 million. Uh,
Okay.
I'd like to make a movie where I get paid. Um, so yeah, that would be nice. But yeah, I feel like that's the movie that's like eating at me in a way that's like, you know, you gotta satiate your creative soul, if you will.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sending all the vibes for both of
Thank
those to
you.
happen. Um, Gigi, this was delightful, and this actually woke me up
Oh, good.
so, some more. So thank you for that. If you
You.
could please tell people where they can find the film, where they can find you on socials before I
Yeah.
let you go.
Yes. First of all, thanks so much. This was one of my favorite interviews and so delightful. Thank you for watching
Thank
the film and
you.
the thoughtful questions. People can follow the movie. They can go to Apple and Amazon and rent it or buy it. You can also go to I Really Love My Husband movie on Instagram. We have some like BTS stuff. It's great. And I am Lost in Graceland on Instagram.
That's a
Uh,
great handle. That
thank
is a
you.
fantastic handle. Wow.
It
Okay.
was a screen name from AIM in middle school.
Oh, you're not dropping aim. My
Oh yeah. I mean, I went through a couple iterations, Graceful Gracie, Chickadita Gal, an
oh, that's a
advocate, you know, that was just
Mine was Captain Charisma 805.
that matches perfectly. You are Captain Charisma. Is that your
Oh,
Instagram handle?
it's not. It's actually just J Hunter Real Pineapple, which is a little less boring than Captain Charisma. It's actually a wrestling reference because I'm a huge wrestling nerd. And
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, I was like, my area code, boom, I'm brilliant. So
Isn't that funny that like for handles you're like, what do I like? Soccer girl 971.
yeah, exactly. It's like the most basic shit. But I was so proud of myself at 13 for thinking.
I'm proud of you.
Oh,
I'm so
thank
proud
you.
of you. That was
Thank you.
amazing.
But honestly, thank you again, Gigi, so much for taking the time. I
Thank
cannot wait
you.
to see what you do next, and I cannot wait for people to check this out. But again, thank you so much for your time, and have a good rest of your day. I can't wait for
You
people to check this
too.
out.
Thanks, Hunter. Bye.
Hey, take care.